Happy Halloween, guys. I hope that you have a very scary Halloween. I hope you have a good Halloween and weekend. You guys, how cool is this hat? I am filming this today. You know, I'm in France, so if you live in America, I'm ahead of you. So have fun with your celebrations. The cool thing about living here is that there's a lot of holidays, and tomorrow is a holiday, so I get to celebrate Halloween today. Tranquillement. So in this video, we are going to get a little creepy, a little witchy, and talk about the Pendle witches. Now, let's get into it. Perhaps the most notorious witch trial of the 17th century, the legend of the Pendle witches is one of the many dark tales of imprisonment and execution at Lancaster Castle. 12 people were accused of witchcraft. One died while held in custody. 11 went to trial. One was tried and found guilty at York, and the other 10 were tried at Lancaster. Only one was found not guilty. It was an unusual trial in that it was documented in an official publication, The Wonderful Discovery of Witches in the County of Lancaster, by the clerk of the court, Thomas Boats. As it was well documented, the story has remained a well-known legend. Also, just over 3 centuries saw witch trials held in England, but fewer than 500 people were committed for this crime or executed. This one series of trials in the summer of 1612 therefore accounts for 2% of all witches executed. It is important, however, to understand the background of these events. 6 of the 11 witches on trial came from 2 rival families, the Demdike family and the Chaddocks family, both headed by old, poverty-stricken widows, Elizabeth Southern and Anne Whittle. Old Demdike had been known as a witch for 50 years. It was an accepted part of the village life in the 16th century that there were village healers who practiced magic and dealt in herbs and medicines. The extent of the spate of witchcraft reported in Pendle at this time perhaps reflected the large amounts of money people could make by posing as witches. Indeed, it was a time when witchcraft for which he blamed Allison and her buyers. When this incident was brought before Justice Noel, Allison confessed that she had told the devil to lame John Law. It was upon further questioning that Allison accused her grandmother, Old Demdike, and also members of the Chaddock's family of witchcraft. The accusations on the Chaddock's family seem to have been an act of revenge. The families had been feuding for years, perhaps since one of the Chaddock's family broke into Malkin Tower, the home of the Demdikes, and stole goods to the value of £1, which doesn't seem like much, but back in these times, that was equivalent of £100. Furthermore, John Device, father of Allison, blamed the illness that led to his death on Old Chaddocks, who threatened to harm his family if they did not pay annually for their protection. The deaths of 4 other villagers that had occurred years before the trial were raised, and the blame laid on witchcraft performed by Chaddocks. James Demdike confessed that Allison had also cursed a local child sometime before, and Elizabeth, although more reserved in making accusations, confessed her mother had a mark on her body, supposedly where the devil had sucked her blood, which left her mad. On further questioning, both Old Demdike and Chaddocks confessed to selling their souls. Also, Anne, Chaddocks' daughter, was allegedly seen to create clay figures. After hearing this evidence, the judge detained Allison, Anne, Old Demdike, and Old Chaddocks and waited for trial. The story would have ended there had it not been for a meeting held at Malkin Tower by James Device, Allison's brother, for which he stole a neighbor's sheep. Though sympathetic to the family, attended, but word reached the judge, who felt compelled to investigate. As a result, a further 8 people were summoned for questioning and then trial. The trials were held at Lancaster between the 17th and 19th of August, 1612. Old Demdike never reached trial. The dark, dank dungeon in which they were imprisoned was too much for her to survive. 9-year-old Janet Device was a key supplier of evidence for the Pendle witches, trial which was allowed under the system of King James. All normal rules of evidence could be suspended for witch trials. Someone so young would not have been able to supply key evidence normally. Janet gave evidence against those who attended the meeting at Malkin Tower, but also against her mother, sister, and brother. When she gave evidence against her mother, Elizabeth had to be removed from the court, screaming and cursing her daughter. Some of the of social